What's going on, everybody? Thank you guys for checking out this video. I got a question from a client this week about food quality and why food quality is important, if food quality is even important. So let's start this off with the word thermogenesis. For those of you who aren't aware what thermogenesis is, when we ingest macronutrients, our carbs, our fats, our proteins, and our fibers, our bodies require energy in order to process and assimilate those macronutrients. The energy required to break those down creates heat inside of our body. That heat that is generated is thermogenesis. The creation of heat. And I'm sure some of you are saying, well, how does the creation of heat help me out? Why is that important? Well, for the majority of you out there who are watching this who still train in a fasted state, now I know that there's a lot of you out there. I get the emails every day. Somebody comes to me, they want my help, and they are still training in a fasted state. So obviously there is need for the information to be out there. Why do you not want to train in a fasted state? For one, mainly because your body is catabolic. The other one, though, is that you're not priming your metabolism to go into a workout to be able to burn more calories. You burn more calories in a fed state than you ever will being in a fasted state. You would not go out and drag race your car with no gas. Right? So fill up the gas tank before you go race. Why is this important in the grand scheme of things? You can actually perform better when you are in a fed state and you're activating thermogenesis. So therefore, you can burn more calories while you're working out versus training fasted and running out of energy probably halfway through. Next question I'm sure is, well, what foods are the most thermogenic? This is a pretty easy explanation, pretty easy answer, and I'm going to resort to my board behind me to fill you guys in on the way that you should be feeding your bodies in order to have the best thermogenic effect. Alright guys, so in regards to the thermic effect of food, we have all of our macronutrients, and each macronutrient requires a specific amount of energy from our body to be able to break that food down, process it, and assimilate it. Now I have behind me on my board the protein, carbohydrate, and fat energy requirements from our body to be able to break those foods down. Now it's on a percentage base, and I'm going to go over them now. Now keep in mind, each percentage is how much of that particular food is required by our bodies to break it down. So with complex proteins, so animal-based proteins, things that have muscle fibers, 30% of that is required by our body to break that food down. Carbohydrates, obviously we split it into two groups, high glycemic and low glycemic. Low glycemic carbohydrates going to require up to roughly 30%. So I believe it's probably more like 20 to 30%, but but 30%, and then high glycemic index or sugar-based carbohydrates, things that are already in a sugar form, will only require 5% from our body. Now fat is at the bottom of that chain. Fat is 0 to 5%, very minimal amounts of energy are required by our body to break down fats. So in regards to the thermic potential of food, why can't we just get away with eating sugary, fun foods all day long? And I just described that on the board. I mean, complex carbohydrates require so much energy by our bodies to be broken down and assimilated versus sugary carbohydrates. Alright, so if you want to take advantage of that thermic potential of food and give your body the best opportunity to burn more calories, it's going to be by having more complex carbohydrates throughout the day. When we're in a fat loss phase, or if we're in a building phase, we don't want to have a lot of sugar spikes. We actually want to keep blood sugar relatively stable. If we are going to have sugar, I'd recommend only doing it maybe once or twice a day. Now, one of those times, I think you would get the best benefit of doing it post-workout. Alright, but that is a little bit of information why I choose to not have too much sugary food throughout the day, and why having more complex carbohydrates can actually be helpful. So, having this information here, how can we put together the most thermogenic meal, I guess, in going into a workout? So how can we put together the best meal to train? Okay, that's going to be putting together a complex protein, so some kind of animal-based protein, and then a carbohydrate, mainly complex carbohydrate. Putting that meal together there a few hours before you exercise is going to give you the greatest thermic potential, so that you can have the highest thermogenic effect while you're training. Now, if you wanted to try to prime that, or give yourself a little bit more, just a little bit more on top, if you were going into a workout, because we don't have the time to input another low glycemic, because it won't be utilized. If you wanted to, you could add in a high GI carbohydrate right before you go into lift, and that will actually kind of prime or optimize that thermic effect within your body and give you the most amount of energy, the most bang for your buck going into a workout. So that would be the ideal pre-workout situation, giving yourself roughly 2 hours to consume the complex protein, the complex carbohydrate, and then roughly 15-20 minutes before you go into lift, have yourself something sugar-based, maybe a piece of fruit or some honey or something like that, something that's already in a sugar form, fruit juices, things like that. That would be the ideal situation. Somebody may ask, well, how come you're not putting fats in there? Well, that's because they have a very low thermogenic effect, and also the reason we don't put a lot of fat into our pre and post workout meals is that fat slows down the digestion process. Okay, fat will slow down the digestion process and keep you satiated for a longer duration of time. Now, if we want to be able to break down our complex carbs and our complex proteins before we train, we don't want to slow down digestion. Okay, so it would be ideal to keep the fats out for later on in the day. I think that I guess the best situation would be to either have your fats like early in the morning and late at night if you work out in the middle of the day. Now, if you work out first thing in the morning, it would be ideal to have more of like a simple sugar carbohydrate at that point, and a simple kind of protein blend, so something like a whey isolate or something that's already kind of broken down in a liquid form, so that you can go in and be fueled for your workout. Thanks for taking the time to check out this video on the thermic potential of food. If there was something in this video that really clicked to you and made sense, please feel free to leave a comment down below so that anybody else who watches the video can scroll down and see what you said and maybe learn something from you too. I hope everybody has a wonderful day. My name is William Grazione with metabolicevolution.com. Thanks for watching. Bye.